Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is 9 o'clock here on Friday night, June the 20th, our first day of summer, and the First Alert Weather Show at 9. I'm glad you're here tonight, kicking off the weekend and the summer in the right way here with a little talk about weather here before we head off to bed or the news or back over to the ball game there on 14. We have heat on the way. To put it pretty simply, it's going to be hot and humid through the weekend and much of next week. We have first alert weather days now for hazardous heat. It's hazardous because when we get up over 105 on the heat index, it's harder for your body to cool itself, and as a result, we see heat-related illness out there, heat exhaustion and heat stroke, with folks who are not acclimated or who maybe do too much, get caught out in the heat, what have you. And so if you have kids playing sports, if you're playing sports, working out and so forth, just use a lot of caution through the weekend and next week. Make sure you're drinking plenty of that water. Our heat advisory covers most of the state of Indiana, and you see these red areas here. These are actually excessive heat warnings for the metro areas there, Chicago, St. Louis. This coming on the anniversary of the big heat wave in Chicago. I believe it was 30 years ago, 25 or 30 years ago, that a major heat wave claimed 700 lives there in Chicago. And then back out to the northwest, from Minneapolis down to Omaha, we're looking at oppressive heat as well. Over the next 7 days, our temperature will get into the mid-90s, and while that alone would be pretty hot, when we factor in the humidity, the moisture in the air, the temperature then will feel to your body like 100 to 105 degrees and maybe warmer. And again, that's just a measure of the inability of your sweat to evaporate to cool your body. The heat risk really steps up on Sunday, Monday. The darker, hotter colors here, the reds and the purples, indicating very dangerous conditions, especially in the purple. The red there kind of, borderline dangerous to be out and about and exerting. Now, I'm not saying you can't go to the grocery store, do the normal stuff that you do, but if you're into some more strenuous work out there, whether it's yard work, gardening, just running around, golf even, you need to be careful and listen to your body. If you're starting to get crampy or headachy or a little confused, get in the shade and get some water and get hydrated there, so you don't bonk, as we say in cycling, where you pass out from the heat. We have severe weather across North Dakota. This is the severe weather season now along the U.S.-Canadian border as the jet stream has retreated up there. For the rest of us, it's quiet time, at least for this week. We have no risk for severe weather through the weekend, maybe an isolated thunderstorm or shower on Sunday, but even the odds of that look pretty low at this point. And as you'll see here, I'm going to let the hour by hour roll all the way through to Monday. It's trying to generate, a few of these little pop-up showers out there, but the thing of it is, when we get this much heat and it's hot throughout the atmosphere, there's no contrast, no cooling to be had, so the storms are inhibited and therefore they can't really grow or form even. And that's why our rainfall prediction there from now through next Friday is only at about 0.2 of an inch, so just scattered showers. We still have 90s showing in the plains, 91 at Lincoln, 92 at Pierre, and then our hottest temps now, Vegas is at 99 and Phoenix is at 104. El Paso not far behind there at 97 right now. Here around the tri-state and the Midwest, we have 80s this evening. The air's still relatively dry. I mean, it's humid, but not as humid as it will get. So we do have a fighting chance to cool it down tonight. Today we had 89, so we came up just a little short of 90. We were down to 67, the normal low this morning. And so June's still stacking up to be somewhat normal on temperatures and way above normal on rainfall, mostly in part due to that rain we had a week ago tonight. The flooding rainfall, nearly 4 inches, fell there, and much of that was captured at the rain gauge at Evansville Regional Airport. Our annual standings there, of course, we're still in the middle, literally in the middle of a very wet year, at least a wet start to it. Highs tomorrow in the lower 90s, and other than those storms up in the Dakotas there, North Dakota, it's pretty quiet and will stay that way because of the heat. High pressure will scoot on out, and that'll leave us with clear skies through the weekend. So a nice one there. You know, if you're going to get out to the lake or swim, whatever, this is perfect weather for that. Longer range on the GFS, the high pressure dome starts to weaken a bit, and we may get some scattered showers in here toward the end of next week. But right now, the models really are not amped up on that at all. 71 tonight and clear. Tomorrow's high 94 with the heat index in the triple digits. 7-day forecast keeps the same heat humidity on all the way through probably all of next week, but at least through Tuesday on that heat advisory. And our temperature outlook through the end of the month, keeping us well above normal on temps and near or slightly above normal on rainfall. And I think Sylvester hits the nail on the head there, at least attitude-wise. He's completely over the heat. That is a ferocious black cat. Kind of looks like my cat, Bobby, who is also a big black cat with a little white beard on there. All right, let's see what's on your mind this evening here. Janet Stapleton's on. There's Merv Fisher. Cheyenne Hammonds. Good evening, Cheyenne. How are you? Merv Fisher. I've asked a couple times here. Is Tornado Alley shifting east on us? Yeah, the trend has been for it to shift to the east. This has been ongoing for about 5 to 7 years. I don't know why all of a sudden this is showing up in everybody's social media feeds, and it's been on TV on some of the weather shows and that. But yeah, it had started moving. In fact, I did a thing on it like 4 or 5 years ago and was able just to pull that graphic, change the dates on it, you know, to update it and the tornado reports. But essentially, this has been ongoing. And the reasons are not completely clear. It may have something to do with a warmer climate. It may have something to do with just changing overall global patterns. But yeah, we've had a lot more tornadoes per year in the east of the old traditional tornado alley, which would be like Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma. It has shifted now to include like Illinois, Tennessee, Indiana, Missouri, and down into Mississippi and Alabama. 92 in Saval. Well, you are doing something out there, Jeff Miller. You are much warmer than we were at the airport. I guess just 3 degrees, that's not too much, but typically it's the other way around. It's hot here in the city and cooler out where you are. Hit the pools, Tina Koss said. Well, I think so. Watching from Dawson Springs, Laura Gray. All right, Laura, good to have you on there this evening. I have a little science corner for you here. Of course, today was the beginning of summer. Actually, we are almost there at 9:42. The sun will be directly over the Tropic of Cancer there to our north. We can't see it, of course. The sun went down at 8:15, but that's the significance of summer solstice. The highest the sun gets, the longest day, and the incoming solar radiation, the heat, tends to be strongest this time of the year, which is why it's summer, or why summer is hot. If we looked at the way the sun is positioned in the sky each day, this is actually a multiple exposure over the course of a year, and it tracks the sun. That figure 8 is also called the analemma. You might have seen that on the side of a globe if you've looked before, and that shows the position and inclination of the sun. So obviously we are right up here, that one, for today. And then we will spend some time up there, but in a couple, 3 weeks, we will start to see a subtle and slow loss of daylight, just a couple minutes here and there, and then it accelerates as we get into the latter part of the summer and fall. Heat advisories versus excessive heat warning. I think I laid that out for you. Basically, the heat advisory covers everybody for that heat index of around 100 to 105. The excessive heat warning usually pertains to urban areas where you have a lot of pavement and the inability for things to cool down at night. Temperatures combined with the humidity will put that heat index into the triple digits for us through the week. And you know, I read an interesting piece today. I'm sorry I keep scratching my nose. There is something makes my nose itch. It's cottonwood, I think, and I got into some of it today, and it's like phantom cottonwood. I keep thinking it's blowing around in here. Anyway, those are my problems. I read an interesting piece today, and I'm going to try to do a little science on this. Basically, having to do with the hotter days, right? We have more hotter days now than, say, we did 40 years ago or 50. And this is in a different part of the country. It was Florida. And one of the commenters on the post said, well, wait a minute, is it climate change, or is it the fact that, probably more than half of Florida is paved over now because of development? And, a little snark, but a lot of truth to that. I'm not denying climate change, by the way, but it's hard to know exactly how much it's responsible for these changes that we're experiencing versus just change that would have happened anyway, kind of like the Tornado Alley thing. So anyway, my question is, and I don't know how I'm going to find this data. That's the hard part, is getting good, reliable data. But as a percentage, what percentage was paved, let's say in 1970 versus today? And I mean, we all know, you drive around, you see, new stores, big box stores, new highways, all this stuff, all this concrete everywhere. That has to make a difference. I think we'd be foolish to just say, well, that's, because we know that demonstrably it's hotter in cities because of the concrete, and it holds heat. And especially if it's darker colored, it absorbs more heat and releases it at night, which is why we have warmer nights and in some cases hotter days. So anyway, if you all have any insight on where to easily find the percentage of ground paved statistic, I would love to see that somewhere. I guess you could look at satellite imagery and kind of base it on that, from like Google Earth and that. Problem is that we didn't have Google Earth in 1975. You just had to know where stuff was. Well, you could look at a map, but anyway. So that's I'm just kind of wondering aloud if anybody's thought of that too. We had all these hot days coming up, but it's attributable mainly to the moisture, not to the temperature itself. The last time we hit 100 was back about a year ago on August the 29th, I think it was. And I actually looked back, and we had 3 years here where we've hit 100 degrees at least once, and that was 2024, 23, and 22. There was a 10-year gap where we never hit 100 degrees. We had some 99s, never hit 100 until and then 2012, and there were several years in there. So anyway, I'm doing a little research on that, and I'll be sharing that with you next week. In the meantime, I hope you have a safe weekend, and you can find a cool place. And if not, do your best to stay cool and stay safe. I'll see you on 14 News at 10. Thanks for watching.